Well, welcome to Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. It's another rip-roaring edition of your favourite Rugby League podcast, the full 80 minutes, with myself, Mick the GameCaller Gledhill. From right to left, or left to right, as you watch the show, you've got myself, you've got young Joe Me the Money, we've got Jimmy, the Mystic Mac, and on the end we've got the King, the Postman, the elite voice of reason. It is Craig, Show Me the Money, Harrison.
Jesus, great build up that, Allah.
I've just gone that. I think I've got a cheap option, and I've gone that. I've noticed all podcasts lately, they seem to go like that, and I've gone like that, and I've realised it hasn't worked for 2 years.
Bit of product placement.
About a fight. Just 10 to 5.
What's it? A Rolo. You can get your Rolex watches.
It's a what? A Rolex?
A Rolex, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I've been abroad and I've been done back. Lucky men. Here you go. But no, before we get going, how the devil are you? What have you done this weekend? And are you enjoying life?
I did the Newcastle adventure at the weekend, Mick. I'd had a drink on the Friday and I thought I should have done. I just got to local. It ended up, as most things do, when you have a couple of pints, you're a bottle of Reading on Friday night watching whatever, and I'm thinking, feel a bit rough. Travel down Saturday to Newcastle to friends, and they've got some tickets to the Fijian-Italy match.
Yeah.
And there were 3 of us went. I had a brilliant time. One thing I didn't have a thing at Jordan, because Jordan were there from Newcastle. Fantastic job. Plenty of staff at the game, probably, but the atmosphere were great. They've done a lot of work to make it a carnival atmosphere as such. I've thought of things I could say on here, what I enjoyed about the game, and then I can give a bit of negative, and I don't mean negative, I mean negative so we improve. So, the atmosphere were fantastic. My friend lives 12 minutes from Newcastle Stadium, which is called the...
St James's Park?
No.
Kingston Park.
Kingston, the one we thought we know.
Yeah. Now, he never knew they played rugby league at that stadium, so I told Jordan that I wasn't happy about that I thought they should reach out, that this lad loved it, absolutely loved it, and he said, I can't believe this treat. He's been to the rugby union, and he said they have a gimmick at the rugby union, you can watch the game in the jacuzzi with beers delivered to you, you can watch the game, which I thought we could use in rugby league. A fantastic...
You ever do that at cricket?
Yeah, so he's had a fantastic time, and he couldn't believe the atmosphere, couldn't believe the prices, he couldn't believe the brutality. So he'd never seen men as big. Fijian lads, they just stood up, and I didn't know this. They've got voices like choir. I've never heard anybody sing like they sing. We're only in tears. They got in the middle and sang, and then the fans behind us, literally, it must have been the wall, and they sang. Their voices are like angelic. Actually, the fans behind us, amazing.
We went to the Australian v Fiji game.
Yeah, but I didn't concentrate. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, about to say, yeah.
Anyway, so all this is going off, and then suddenly he's looking at the first one, and I said, oh, he's a winger. And this winger had calves like that, and he's 6'5", 110 kilos, and he goes, no, he can't be a winger. I goes, oh yeah, he is. I said, lad next to him, he's centre, and he just couldn't believe it. When the game got going, fantastic game. Italy had a dig, but massively out. I mean, there were 35 stone between them. So the difference in power and thing is ridiculous. Fiji played really well. I think if, like most things, Mick, if they had a couple of halfbacks, the hooker from Penrith plays half.
Yeah.
With another, I think if they had a couple of halfbacks linking in, they'd be dangerous. I mean,
they had injuries, that's why.
Well, they'll probably do some damage. They've probably got a chance. But as an occasion, Mick, the lads had 3 or 4 beers. I went to hot dog stand because a few people know us in stand. They were shouting at the postman, you're not eating again, and I was like, having a bit of crack. But as I've gone to get 3 burgers, lamb burgers and chips, one of the lads with me turned up and he's got 3 burgers and chips, so we've ended up with 6 burgers. And
bet you were devastated, right?
Well, I managed to put 3 away, but we ended up with...
Is that why I got a text message saying, Mick, are you at Newcastle?
Honestly, we sat back down and I'm thinking, this looks horrendous, people are watching us, and anyway, they've got these pint pots, 2 pints. In fact, the new thing they've got, which is fantastic, I hope everyone gets it, and you're all going to call me because you're going to say it's been out for years. The plastic cup that you buy, and then you use it.
Yeah, to say.
Is that at every ground now?
Yeah. I think Bradford.
So you just go get a refill and take your glass?
Yeah.
Quite common now, yeah.
Right, there you go.
For recycling and less plastic. And
Yeah, because when I was at
at
Newcastle for the Bradford game,
I love that.
I think it was like you pay £1, you get the cup,
That's it.
and then you get money off your beer.
Next pint.
They do it.
Yeah.
Mick, they do it at Bradford Bulls.
Yeah, I know they do.
Oh, yeah, but
No, that's it. Batley as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
Championship clubs, Newcastle, Bradford,
Oh yeah,
Batley. they're
brilliant
all doing it.
idea, fantastic for the environment, fantastic. Anyway, we got stuck into that. We walked around the ground talking to people. Again, quite funny when we got back to get our tea. We went to a local pub nearby and got another 4 or 5 pints in. But the lads couldn't believe it got 9 out of 10 off both of them.
Wow.
None of them rugby league fans.
Brilliant.
Had a great occasion, great atmosphere, everything went off. When they're building it up now, there's like music going on in between the game, they're stopping and I love it. I think they should take that into Super League Championship, they're making it a lot more atmosphere. It's not just all about the game, it was like, when that decision's coming up, it's like boom, boom, and I'm loving what they're doing. Downside, Mick, is they still want enough fans.
How many were there, Mick?
Just over 3,000.
We had
The lowest World Cup crowd today.
And I bet we had 400 staff. You know, the staff was, and one of the guys, and I'm sure Jordan will tell us about this, how it happened. This end here was like £35 to 50 something pound here, and this end was 10 to 15, but they were just walking into that end. So they were paying that, there was no barrier, they just walked straight into. So if you paid here, you looked and paid there, you could just walk around corner 60 metres and you're in 35 to 50 quid in.
I've heard a few people
So I didn't get that. I was dying to ask Jordan, and I hope I don't use the show to ask him, John, so why didn't you ask me private? I wanted to make sure that I'm sure there's an answer to why you can do that, but
staffing to stop people doing it, isn't it? And then you are.
You'd be cheesed off, wouldn't you?
Oh, you would do.
They were doing that.
Doing it
It's like being in pictures, isn't it? When you pay for extra thing, and then you get there, you think, are you kidding me?
They were doing that at Lee yesterday. They were doing it.
Or just walking around,
Sunday,
regardless of your ticket price.
Yeah, I know people I know people who had paid £20 for the terracing, and they literally went up the stairs, sat in the padded seats, and they're like, here I am. I'm in the 60, 70 quid seats.
And there's been quite a lot
I'm not condoning it, but if the Rugby League World Cup are not going to police it, those that want to chance it are going to chance it.
And there's been quite a bit of talk about that in the last week, so people are probably thinking, well, we might as well get a cheap one and have it give it a go.
Also, this has been out there, has it?
I've seen it.
Well, that's every sport. I don't think there's not sporting occasion in.
We wouldn't do that at Leeds, you'd have no chance.
Well, if it's full, you
You
can't.
wouldn't do that at a lot of games, I think that's the
A
thing.
lot of games you can, yeah. Darts, you can. At darts, when it's fully packed, you can literally walk to the top and walk to the bottom where.
Well, to be honest with you, it happened at the Diana Ross concert this year, and I nearly killed somebody because I couldn't believe what they did. They came, we'd paid for big tickets near front, and they just drove them and came back, and they went in VIP area.
Yeah, I think
and
Leeds Arena's bad for it. I think was it at Leeds Arena?
Leeds Arena.
Yeah.
And they had 4 or 5 bouncers, and they're only young kids. So these have got 8 pints in. Tell them to F off. They ruined my spectacle. And I just squared up and I said, here, not going to happen near me. We've sat here. And I couldn't, you know what? They didn't give a monkey to be fair. They just kept off, carried on. But it was terrible. So I think that's my only negative, is that can't happen. That's unfair of the people who were sat there. And if that's happening all around country,
I think it's staffing, and it's like, you know, it's for 50.
But Jimmy, there were 300 staff there were more staff than supporters.
But like Joe says, I think I've been at the arena loads, and you know, like on trains, people trying to sneak in first class, it's the same principle in it. People will always try their hand, but at a lot of these venues, with respect, the staff are often being brought in.
Agency, they don't.
Agency.
They're not there regularly.
Yeah, they're not. They're being paid minimum wage or close to minimum wage. So once you've got someone who's had 5 pints saying, I'm over here.
It's not worth their hassle, is it?
It's same as anything.
Look, people are going to do it. It's sad.
But it's wrong, isn't it? Because if you actually
wrong,
have, mate, we're not condoning it. If stadiums are going to hire people, we'll make sure that there's people who can get on walkie-talkies and say, we're not going to allow that. Yeah. That's not fair. That can't be fair.
No, it's
or
not.
everyone's just going to buy £10 tickets.
Yeah.
If it keeps going round, you'll just get cheapest ticket, you just walk round.
Well, that's what's happening.
Well, look, we don't want to promote that anymore on the show. Just a quick one on the tickets. Thursday, I was on a press call with John Dutton and Mick Hogan. They basically said that they are not going to reduce any more ticket prices. We know that they reduced the Doncaster last Monday. whereas there were £40 and £50 tickets there. Now they were down to £20 and 21 pence, and the kids were £2 and 21 pence. Again, just over 4,000 for that fixture. It's interesting. I didn't know this, but they've already paid the International Rugby League Federation £40 million to host this Rugby League World Cup, so that's the total cost to host it. John Dutton, to his credit, expects it to break even, but he does not expect it to make any money because, sadly, the Warrington game, New Zealand against Lebanon, just over 5,000 people there. In 2013, there was over 13,000, nearly 14,000 people.
I've got one for you.
there.
I've just remembered. Sorry, Mick, for putting in there. I'm going to tell you this. So when you asked for the attendance at a game, I didn't know this, and this is what's been in my mind for months. Are you ready, guys? Don't all say you know, because
They count season tickets.
Probably
They count season tickets if they don't turn up.
No.
Oh.
When you ask for the gate, the how many people in the stadiums, they usually say gate tickets sold. So you can sell 5,000 tickets, but only 2,000 in stadium. They'll always mention the 5,000, not the 200. I've actually been told by two people this week. I went, "You've got to."
Yeah, obvious.
No, I never distinguish that. So what you should be asking is when they say how many are in stadium, so for it politically they will say 6,000 tickets sold. Now that can be 1,000 tickets at £1 and go to a foundation, but then none of them turn up to attendance. Do you get me? So when we get these attendances, we need to be saying how much is that through the gate or not tickets sold. There is a differential.
Yeah.
And somebody's done it twice in the last 7 days. So when they've announced it, they've gone, yes, tickets sold 4,800, but there was only 2,000 on in the stadium.
No, it's an interesting thing, Craig, and I totally agree with you.
Didn't you know that?
I knew you were going to say that's a bit
Anyway, but yeah, just quickly, because I don't want to make this about the ticket. We spoke about the ticket prices last week. Obviously, some games are more challenging. We saw 6,000 at Jamaica versus New Zealand at Hull's Caircom Stadium. That holds 25,000. That was a soul-destroying watch. I asked John and Mick, even though there's a lot of colour and a lot of noise, how is that being translated onto TV? You've got a 25,000 capacity stadium and you've only got 6,000 people coming through. They were very blunt. If they had the time again, they would change some of the venues.
Well, I know somebody who, I hope you don't mind me saying this, I rang Simon and said to Simon, did the RFL ask you, obviously the biggest ticket seller of promotions in the world, one of them, he owns his own rugby league club, was he asked? He said yes. He asked and he give advice. I think they was very confident in the figures they had.
Yeah.
And they was very confident in the locations they picked. So after timing, yes, they probably got it wrong because they thought them tickets would go at that price. That's the bit they've got wrong massively.
Well, so I think they've I've seen a lot of tweets comparing them to the 2017 and the tickets, and with that, so I think the average. What's been the average so far? It's been like 10. Is it been 8,000-9,000?
What, the average crowd?
Yeah,
it's just under 10,000.
Just under 10,000. In the World Cup in 2017, that was in England. It was at 13,000. So we're down, I think, 3,500.
Which is why John Dutton is probably worried that they might not.
What about the viewers? Are the viewers up? Because
so today,
COVID caused a lot of that. Let's
today,
back up Rugby League here.
So the latest figures live as of today, 4.7 million people have watched a Rugby League World Cup game.
And is that up from
TV.
the 17?
That is up. That's up from 13. Sorry, the last World Cup over here was in 13.
13. Sorry.
So we are reaching more people, and the BBC should be applauded because all 61 games.
Do the BBC pay for our podcast?
No.
Hey?
No.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
They don't pay. They're basically funding it to give us exposure. It's the national broadcaster. You don't get money from it, Greg.
They're covering the costs.
They're covering the costs. Similar to Channel 4.
No advertising on BBC is for.
So you can't charge.
BBC
you can't
won't pay
pay for
anyway.
it. So that's what I'm saying, Craig.
BBC,
The Rugby League World
BBC
Cup, as of today, has gone to 4.7 million people.
Yeah, but you're not with me, right? So in business, we're using that 4.7 figures to create a business. We want to go to people and say, look how many figures we've got. look what we can achieve. Is that what we're doing it for?
You can still do
because we're not
that.
getting advertisements and we're not getting
you can
any
still
money.
do that.
So are we saying
it's exposure? This isn't Sky Sports.
Yeah, to get more people in Super League.
This is the BBC.
To get more people watching rugby league.
Yes, right. The World Cup.
And is there a price on that? So we've got a price of 30 million on that.
Well, it's like the Challenge Cup. You know, that terrestrial television exposure is worth more then.
Well, it hasn't proved it's worth more because we've got no ticket sales on the back of it.
Well, we have.
Challenge Cup's the worst it's ever been.
But like John Dutton said, you know, the Emirates is at 35,000. There's a lot of...
There's more people watching it, but less at the ground.
No, Mick, can I say this? When the World Cup...
It's for neutrals.
When World Cup went to the platform, okay, and they said, right, where we're going to play the World Cup on, which TV or which media outlet, did we have 5 or 6 or did just BBC got it?
No, it was just the BBC.
Why?
It was just the BBC.
No, why?
Because nobody else wanted it.
Is this...
Why does that surprise you?
Why is that a
shock
shock?
to
That's
you?
the shit. Yeah.
Nobody else wanted to film.
It's like the Challenge.
So what are Australia watching it on?
Oh no!
Yeah, Fox.
There's Fox 9, 7 mate.
And have they paid money for it?
They've done a deal with John, but again, it's not. We're not talking millions of pounds.
I didn't ask you that. Have they paid money for it?
Yes, they will have paid broadcast rights.
So Fox has paid broadcast rights. Anybody else? Oh God.
Maybe the French. I think the
French showing anything live?
I think the European. I think there's a European.
I'll be
market.
honest, Craig. That people think there's money to be made. There isn't. No,
forget about that. I'm asking, and people want to know. So we've got Fox are paying money, BBC are paying no money, and we've got no other. Is it being shown in any other outlet?
I think
it's been shown in South Asia, yes.
On
again, that's
South Asian TV
for the Pacific nations like Samoa, Papua New Guinea. Yes, it's on TV over there.
That's a free channel again.
Yes. I hate to say it, Craig, but sadly the Rugby League World Cup is not up there where you're going to get a bidding war between broadcasters wanting to spend tens of millions of pounds. We have to accept where we are, and we accept...
I thought something like Channel 4 the right property, would you? If you were there, would you not fancy it?
I would, yes, because I'm a fan, but no, not for a business sense. It doesn't make what sense.
Some of the games, Craig, some of the games have been on TV, and whilst they are very good, they've had 250,000 views, but the facts are 4.7 million have watched the World Cup today.
Let's just say now, the quarterfinals get up to 500,000, then we build it up to nearly 1 million for World Cup final. They're good figures for a Channel 5, for a ITV2,
yes,
ITV1.
I agree.
Why aren't some, that online, on an online script, I'd thought there'd be more people.
I think it's for trade-off. Let's say, for argument's sake, Premier Sports have come in and said, we'll give you 100 grand and we'll do it. Let's say that's what they offered. On the BBC, the extra exposure they get
to the game
and hitting, a lot of
non-rugby
league fans to say, well, we're better off having way more viewers, and then we can go to the next.
Then viewers don't translate
game.
to Sky Sports or Premier or anything else.
Or going to games. That's your problem. Your conversion rate. You'd need to know, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but because it's BBC, so you watch because it's free to watch. Anyone's got BBC.
But say then,
fundamentally, the World Cup final.
Let me tell you this:
the World Cup final is a protected event. It's like the FA Cup final. It has to be on terrestrial television.
But you're not selling.
Converting the BBC? Have they got a sales thing to get more people watching rugby league on the back? Because they did mention when our season starts. So here's one for you: the 2 lads who came who've never watched rugby league both said to me, "What am I watching?" So I spent 10 minutes explaining the game. They got it straight away. They started laughing, saying, "That's a bad kick, why didn't you kick early?" So they got it. They enjoyed the bet. Then they said to me, stage 2 was, where can I watch it? I said, well, you can watch it at Leeds Rhinos or whatever, you can watch it at Newcastle.
Yeah.
So the questions were all asking me. So there was a bit of, are BBC putting anything out there, mate, to say, are they putting fixture lists next year of all games?
No.
Just purely selling the World Cup?
Yes.
Sold the World Cup and then they've done a...
That's daft. If you're going to do a deal to convert people over to games...
They've done 4 or 5 different shows away from that, so they've done one on Clive.
Yeah, I've loved it.
Yeah,
Clive Sullivan.
Yeah, I didn't want to get this because
right.
Clive Sullivan. They've done a few others on. That's what they've done. I think they've done that to promote the sport.
But we probably need then, if we're being thingy mix, we need a little bit of saying this is when our season starts. If you live near any of these areas, these are your ticket sales. If I were John Dutton, that's the first thing, and I said, guys, all I want off you, if you give nothing, is make sure you give us a 2-minute platform, put in where the games are going to be next year, and if you've got a local club in a local area, I'm watching this BBC at London Where do I go and watch rugby league?
But from a broadcast point of view, Craig, I agree that's a great idea. But the trade-off is 61 games are being shown. The costs to the BBC of showing 61 games, you're talking millions of pounds.
But then imagine somebody saying to you, right, I've watched World Cup and then, so when's next World Cup?
Yeah, but I think the idea is...
When's next World Cup?
It's in France in 25.
Yeah, no, I'm a supporter. I don't know this is Rugby League.
But you've got to understand...
When's next World Cup, mate?
But Craig, both of your mates, if they want to find that information, the idea is that these new people will then get on their phone and in 10 seconds they can find it all. That's what people do.
I disagree with you. Yeah, I agree with him. That's your friend saying that. Will they actually turn up? Probably not. I don't think they would turn up.
100%. So when you got a ticket,
I don't think they would turn up.
No, you don't know me, friend, so you can't say that.
Yes, but I can say I know most 90% of the others, and they've all said, "Oh, I wish they couldn't." They never do.
Is that yours?
No, yours. I've met all. People say they will, but it's not hard to search up ticket where your local club is. It's not. That's a millisecond search. That's zero effort. That's zero effort.
If you do,
Well,
people in London
It's genetic.
are stood there and they don't know where they can watch rugby league. It's the stupidest comment you've ever made.
It's not.
You can find out.
It's not. No, it's not.
No, because they don't know it's there. You donuts. They don't know it's there.
You type it in. It takes.
No, you've got to know the sport to put it in.
Yeah, know the sport of rugby league.
They don't know the sport.
That's what the World Cup's
But if
doing.
you've
That's
got-
the.
They have no idea of the sport.
That's the point of the.
They don't know what rugby league is.
That's the point of showing it on BBC.
They think rugby league in London and there in Newcastle is rugby union. Is it rugby union?
Yeah, but
There's no difference.
Yeah, but once your mate's been to the game of like rugby league, he lives in Newcastle, he goes.
But if I don't take him to that game,
but you're not on about that. We're on.
I am.
Yeah, you're not. You've changed your
I said
argument.
BBC. If
You've
they
done
roll
your
it out.
thing again. You're changing your
No,
argument.
you're talking shit. What
You
did I
are.
say?
You are.
Stop.
You stop. You're the one being aggressive.
Stop. I'm not being aggressive at all. I'm being aggressive. I'll put one. If you sit there and I say the BBC, okay, at the end of the show roll something out which markets where you can watch rugby league. You're saying you don't need to do it. You're saying I'm saying you do because
That wasn't your original argument. You put.
But even if
It's not how you worded it at all.
Even if it's the idea is if I've got 10 football fans, right, and some of them have been, they've been laughing reds off, absolutely loving some of the games. It's brilliant, talking about the Aussies. So if they're then sat at home in Barrow, and they hadn't heard of Barrow RLFC, which is extremely likely Barrow, but for example, they go, do you know what? This is entertaining. So all they do is put Barrow Rugby League, and on their phone will come up all the information. If you live in Newcastle and you put, and someone's watching on TV, and then they go, I won't mind watching some of this.
BBC just doing it for nothing now.
I'm saying that the idea is anyone who's watched some rugby league on TV who has never watched rugby league in their local area can just go Google,
They don't do it, Jim.
Well, I'm not saying they do or not, but it's not hard to do that. If they want to go and if they want to go out and seek out more rugby league on a domestic level, they can do it on the phone,
okay,
or Twitter. On the phone.
I'm saying if you've got a platform,
it would help
like that.
It would help.
Why would you not?
Yeah. Why are they not promoting the Challenge?
Why would you
Cup
not just say
year?
these here areas? Yeah, like you just said, the Challenge Cup fixtures. If you want to go and watch a game next year, please. That's ridiculous. That's just to end a programme for 2 minutes.
Yeah, and it would.
All the four pundits talking about something there. You just use that to put a platform again.
Oh well, don't get me started on that, because at the end of that New Zealand Jamaica game, we're listening to them lot talk for a couple of minutes. It's like, just get Bish on for his why are you not getting straight to Bish for a word? And we're listening to. I'm like, oh.
Anyway, so we've had the debate on that. The pleasing news is, while some crowds and some of the grounds, there would be. John Dutton said he would hit the reset button. There's 35,000 tickets sold for the England semi-final, touch wood, at the Emirates. The World Cup finals at 55,000. That now has grossed £250,000 more than any other game in the history of international rugby league in the Northern Hemisphere, and that's probably on the back of £180 tickets. It's not cheap to go watch that World Cup final at Old Trafford. All the cheap tickets have gone. You're left with the 115, 150, 180 pound tickets. So to get to 55,000 with no guarantee England will be there, because we all still think England will bow out in the semi-final.
I'm fine. I've been fine all the time.
You're final.
So makes it.
So it's already the final's already at £250,000 in
But
profit.
are you saying what is the cheapest ticket available left for the final now?
I was looking earlier, and I think it's about £80.
Is it?
So there's the age-old question now.
Sort of team trip out there, son.
I actually tried to get the semi-final tickets at Ellen Road.
Yeah.
That's at 22,000. So that's heading towards a sellout.
Which is probably...
Which is getting worse.
That'll be Australia and New Zealand.
And I inquired about box, and we couldn't find out whether any boxes left. There is. You can sit down and have some food if you want to do it that way. It's still available, but you're right. It's flying. Flying.
Well, that is the one, isn't it?
So that's why
New
this
Zealand,
World
Australia
Cup,
at Ellen Road,
albeit it's going to be the highest grossing ever World Cup because they've had to pay the £40 million. That's the cost. John said we've had to pay £40 million to cost and stage and bring everybody over. Obviously, that's why the ticket prices are high, because they have to make the 40 million back. If they don't, then the sport's in serious financial trouble.
You said, if you think about it, they did it with Reunion, I think, in France. When you get it towards the business end, they do want the most supported clubs in it, because then you're flying them in from everywhere. The big hitters are coming.
Yeah.
This is to be a dream for World Cup if they go.
If they've got
England, Australia, let's be honest. And then they go, right, if you're a really Rugby League fan and you want to be once in your lifetime at a final where we might win, would you pay 10 times the odds for a ticket? Of course you would, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
I know when Simon this year, he did Liam Gallagher at Nevilleworth, is it?
Yeah, Nevilleworth.
And they got that much demand, they just went to him, do you fancy a couple more days?
2 more days.
So just like, brilliant, let's do it. That's business, isn't it? That's just, I hope they do get a lot of money for it. I hope that's how it happens. Hopefully your real fans have got it at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then with Prawn Cocktail Brigade, then get hammered for it.
Yeah.
That's a perfect model.
The thing is, though, I think the argument is, isn't there, in like if you look at other sports, I think sometimes the base fans, they don't actually provide most of the money, do they? The money comes from the...
Well, let's hope they go on the 25, 30 quid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Comes from the Cocktail Brigade, doesn't it? That's where, sadly, like F1's just run on multi-million
Well, the
pound
boxes at the final, in England, Australia,
the
box would sell for 10, 20,000 quid, wouldn't it?
Yes.
If you've got let's say 25 keg a piece, you've got 30, 40 boxes in final. Your corporate, you're probably going to have to put 6,000 corporate members paying 200 a head. Your probably gate receipts are going to be smashed by.
Yeah. And they're probably relying on that to get past that break even, because like Mick says, the worry is if they don't break even, that money comes out of the
because the company who were all over the ground at Newcastle kept
Kazoo.
So what do Kazoo do?
I think they do.
They're the main sponsor of the World Cup.
Are they the main sponsor?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Good on.
Well, obviously Betfred are England's kit sponsor. Yeah. I don't know who's paying the most.
Yeah, it's Kazoo. I think it was £1 million. It was £1 million plus.
Can we fact what do Kazoo? Are they involved in our sport? What's made us attract to Kazoo?
They do loads of sports.
Well, this is probably down to John Dutton and his team, isn't it? Yeah. Tapping them up,
well done,
getting them in.
But look, because they were everywhere.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's Kazoo man of the match, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kazoo.
Sam, can you just have a Google of that, just for listeners and viewers, what they actually do? Because are they a media outlet?
It's a Kazoo. It's a massive car sales.
Cars, resale, second-hand cars.
Like a zoo for cars.
Yeah. But this one final point.
Well, if Kazoo, you want to be involved with your show.
I like BMWs, he likes winning colours.
We'll plug you, son, it'll be cheaper than that.
Just one final point of the show. John did, on the tickets, John said, if he had his time again, he would lower the ticket prices because obviously inflation's running at 10.7%. Obviously there's a financial and economic crisis. So he said, out of respect for those that bought 2 years ago, they can't lower the prices wholesale, albeit there's the odd special offer on at some of the games, as we saw last week with Wales against Cook Islands on Wednesday. It was £15 an adult, £5 a kid. Nice. So, good to see. But
Can I say one thing on John Dutton as well? I think that he's been brilliant being up front and a face. Many people would have hidden behind and not answered any criticism. Or there was a complaint about a section of a stand
St. Helens, yes,
which was supposed to be cheap tickets and they weren't sold, and people were straight away onto it. Well, this is a cock up. Why we were forced to buy more expensive tickets when these £25 ones were all empty? And he said, well, look, it's cocked up. There was one of the production companies who booked it out, and then at the last minute they said they didn't actually need it. And if we had my time again, we could have quickly resold those tickets. But he's been really good on social media and in the press to put, like you've always said in our game, we need more people to actually stand up and go, I'll answer.
Amazing.
It's been great for that.
Get him. They should do it every Monday, shouldn't they? If they did a Monday ticket sale thing, got John in there and saying, "Come on, you want to?"
No one's going to nail it. There's always going to be hindsight and say, "Well, I wish I had done this." But
great point.
They're doing
probably the best point
well.
you've done in 6 years. Then.
Thanks very much.
I was close to sacking you.
Right.
You
Said that 10 times.
Away from the tickets, let's look at the action. England against France at
Well,
Bolton.
P45 back.
Sean Wayne was visibly frustrated with that performance. I think it was more so after leading 18 points to 0 after 20 minutes after those early tries from Ryan Hall, which I thought Ryan Hall was immense on the opposite wing to Dominic Young. France were allowed a stranglehold in the game, and you've gone from 18-0 after 20 minutes to 18-12 at half time. I don't think it was ever sort of squeaky bum time, but Sean Wayne was visibly frustrated because that England team could and should have done better. And already I read a lot of Australian, New Zealand media, and you've got the former greats, Darren Lockyer, saying, well, hang on a second, no disrespect to England, they've got the job done, but if that was Australia against France, New Zealand against France, Samoa against France, you're probably looking at 60, 70, really putting them to the sword. That's no disrespect to France.
That's a ridiculous comment.
Well, listen, no.
Darren Lockyer.
That was Darren Lockyer,
You can say about
we
England,
beat Samoa by
can't say
40,
Samoa.
and they said Samoa should beat. That's the most ridiculous.
No. He said Australia, New Zealand should be beat France.
Samoa.
Yeah, you said Samoa as well.
But what I'm saying, Craig, is, are you hand on heart happy with that performance? Because yes, he made 5 changes. I don't understand why. This is just one criticism of Sean Wayne. We're in a World Cup. Sean's obviously looked at the fixtures. Right, I'm going to give everyone a run out, and there's nothing wrong with that. But making wholesale changes, 5 in, 5 out, just to give everybody a bit of freshness. That's why that performance was as it was, in my opinion. And I'm not saying for 1 minute.
Callum Watkins' injury, there was a few factors.
No, I agree, Jimmy. And there's nothing wrong with a 42 points to 18 win. Ultimately, we're through to the quarter-finals.
You've asked a question.
What I'm saying, Craig, is, were you happy with that performance? I wasn't, because
Michael.
if you play like that against New Zealand, Australia, you're out. Fact.
Yeah.
And that is why I'd like more continuity from Sean Wayne.
Right then, I'm going to stick.
What? I don't get you. Why do you want more continuity? But they've got a full squad, and I think loads of people complained in the first game that players didn't play. That's what the group competition.
Well, I'm telling you now. It's a World Cup.
But
it should be about building momentum, like Australia, New Zealand are doing. You shouldn't be chopping and changing.
Australia chopped and changed.
You should be literally building momentum ahead of that quarter-final at Wigan.
Can I finally get a word? Can we have a say on this? So this,
it's fine.
In a conversion of a World Cup, it's what you get out of the game. I think this is what we get out of the game. I think Sean Wayne would have been buzzing. Do you know why he's been buzzing? He got a chance to show him what Sean Wayne's about at half-time. He went in there at half-time. I've heard coaches beg to have a poor performance in first half because longer term they want the coach to go in and go here. Let me tell you what this is about, you. Bum, bum, bum. And if you'd have had a mic in there, you'd have seen the F key, the bomb, it would have been dropped in. And I saw 3 faces, I'm not going to mention them. They've never had it. In society today, a good old rollicking is what many people dare not have. Believe me, I had my dad, I had 50 delivered per week. And it was chin to chin, you, Leah, come here, you. Let me tell you a little bit about what you're at. And I'd go, geez, and they were always. I seen Wayne dishing it, and there were 3 people I knew have never been in that environment that were so uncomfortable you could see going, their eyes were like that, thinking, Wayne is frothing at mouth. I bet you Sean went, as he walked out to his assistant, and he went, and he got it, because now they know, Mick, they can't drop the standards. Now they know what the World Cup's about. I'll have a bet I could ring Matty Pete now and say, I bet Wayne were buzzing because he goes, I got a chance to dish into these. We're not messing about. What you get out of a World Cup, he had to see what other players were like, Mick. He's got to. You might get one. Let me finish. You might get 1 or 2 there, Mick. I thought Andy Ackers getting that game were fantastic when he started to get up front 4. He showed a little bit where Mickey Mack won't get him pick and roll. Andy did. So that's a little one. Do you look at where I thought Mick, we're biased with Mick. We're biased. Did I think Mick did enough what he does at Leeds? Probably not. I thought Mick could have done a little bit more when he got a chance to do that. I wanted Mick to go and dominate. And there were a couple where Mick hit that kid and he said sorry, and it got a bit tasty. And it's going to get tasty. You're going into quarter-final, semi-final, final football. Mick, These, do you know me tell you something here? A lot of these will be decided on discipline.
Yeah.
Right? And when it's really hot in kitchen and someone's grabbing your bike throat and they're saying, come on, run at me again, you've got to be disciplined. Ireland, we'll go on to Ireland. Ireland played the worst disciplined game I couldn't believe what they did. I'll tell you now, the pressure got to Ireland. They tried to bully, and it didn't work. It went penalty. And then they got reckless. Another penalty, reckless, another penalty. And do you know what? I don't know the coach from anywhere, but afterwards, I thought he should have said that. And he said, we've still got a chance. Why were you to say we can't win this last game? Now listen, I thought, that wasn't the right one for me. He should have said, we didn't play that well. We didn't stay disciplined. In the heat of the battle, we couldn't get any ball control because our discipline and recklessness was
I watched the game. It kind of seemed the Ireland game, quickly just going on. The Ireland game looked like, I reckon the coach got it wrong. It looked like he's built them up, got them all from pre-game. To me, I was watching going, oh no, coach.
Well, Liam Byrne were just flying in.
He got them all ate up, angry. They're all flagging in, and then every time something kicked off, they're all, come on then. There was that story, weren't they, about 15 years ago? There were this massive fight between Ireland and Lebanon, and that started to get played out. So it seems like the Irish side have gone, let's play this story that we ate the Lebanese team, but let's get them fighting, and they've come out ready to go. And it was just the wrong play, the wrong call.
They forgot about playing football.
Yeah.
They forgot about playing football. Keys' bit of magic with that left to right pass, but only I was looking for momentum.
Luke Keary didn't play his best. I think most of them would have said they weren't at the best.
But back to the England, Mick, I'll tell you now, I reckon Wayne, right, listen to me, I reckon he sat there this morning, they've all gone in for the river, they've all gone away for a weekend to see your families, come back in this morning, they'll be having cold baths, they'll be getting ready for the week, what's coming. I think he's got some right material. I don't like to run with 100. So when it comes to a big battle, you don't know what to do when you're in it. He needs to know which players can handle.
I agree.
25 minutes to against France. When in France were coming back and they were like, oh, getting a bit tasty here.
Well, for 25 minutes, France were the better team.
I saw 3 players rise.
Yeah.
I think I
saw 3 players rise.
My 10p worth on it is, I know what Mick's saying, and I think if we view it as, if England are to beat Australia or New Zealand, and hopefully England get to a final, have a chance.
You need continuity, cohesion.
Hold on,
not chopping and changing.
Hold on a second.
But every team.
Joe, hold on a second. This is what all I want to say. New Zealand and England, I feel, New Zealand and Australia have got the luxury, because for me they are significantly ahead of where England are. So they can perhaps afford to change. I think what Mick's saying is, if we're to have a chance against one of those, we're going to have to make the most of getting the team that he thinks can beat one of those. Correct. Playing together and having more time on the pitch together. I think that's what Mick's saying, rather than when we get to play that game.
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Like, this is the argument, though. I'm not saying I agree with it or not.
What's your view?
My view is.
We'll struggle here.
Yeah. Well, let me finish the point. I do.
You're arguing for me. Let's see what Jim.
Well, I'm not even finished my point yet.
Let him finish his point.
So I think that England's best chance of beating one of those would be for Sean to choose his side and have them play together more.
Thank you, Jimmy. And that is the point that I have made.
I'm going to counter you.
Chopping and changing affects cohesion and continuity. End of story.
Can I go back to Mick's first comment?
Unless it's an injury.
Can I go back to Mick's first comment?
Unless it's an injury, Craig. Unless it's
Ridiculous.
an injury.
But that's the point. If there is an injury, what do we do?
England lost the penalty count 7-3 on Saturday.
I'm discussing the England game. Let me just roll back 10 minutes. I'd just like to just England, and I'd just like to make a special mention to Ryan Hall. Well, he brought Ryan Hall in.
Yes, because he was having a look at Ryan Hall. And I'm just saying.
You just lost your argument, son. It's 5-0 to Craig Harrison.
You lost the argument. I would not.
You better stick with him now. You can't leave him.
I would not have brought Ryan Hall on. I would not have brought Ryan Hall on. I'm just saying, the facts are, it's brought him on. And yes, he was brilliant.
That's the argument.
Yeah,
as was Dom Young. I said, did you listen? I praised both wingers. He scored both.
Yeah, but if Tommy Makinson had a knock and he couldn't play, then I just think that, I know what Mick's saying. I think England need to be.
Right, viewers, you decide. Do you go with cohesion and continuity? Sean picks the best 17 and sticks with it.
But what was if there's
Are you happy?
Rugby League, what was if there's an injury.
Shock.
Yeah, but he said
it's
if it's injuries.
Yeah, but no, that's the point. You need he's
Yeah.
playing them now because if there's an injury later, if you chuck someone in a semi-final who's not played a single game for 3 weeks, he's screwed.
Right.
That's your.
My happy medium is that nothing wrong with that little change to give people go, but I do think that for this next game and then the quarter final, he needs to pick what he thinks is his best 17 and run with it. I think that the next game, quarter final, if we're to get the semi to beat them, then he needs to know.
You said, wait, no, I've got a counter for your personal argument, not me. You said our squad isn't as deep. But our squad might not be as deep. But if you play, it's not like you take off John Bateman, for example, or pick off any player on the pitch. You're replacing them with the very similar standard. It's not like it's a massive drop-off.
I do agree with that, and I've not got an issue with the standard. I think for us to beat one of those two teams, we need to have continuity going into those last couple of games.
Here's me debate.
Because I think we're miles off Australia and New Zealand. I do.
I don't. So let me tell you this.
Yeah.
In the modern day, the speed of the game is probably impossible to somebody play 5 weeks on trot.
Yeah.
At that tempo, it'd be very hard. I'm not saying they couldn't do it, but the way he's had to do it because you won't get a player. There won't be many players. John Bateman didn't play first game. Mike McGeechan played really well first game. You'd obviously.
But we already accepted that John Bateman was going to serve that one match ban for Samoa, and then he was going to be thrown in because Sean Wayne likes that mongrel. He likes that sort of player. Your Batemans, your McMeekans, your Whiteheads. He likes the mongrel. He said it in the interview I did with him. He likes that type of player.
You've got it wrong there because Morgan Knowles never played. Who's the biggest mongrel we've got in country at the moment?
Well, he's clearly not one of Wayne's favourites.
Sean Lawrence, the biggest mongrel by the way.
Morgan Knowles will play when it's ready. He's probably just tapped him back and he'll play.
I think for me, it's getting that half-back partnership. I'd like to see the same half-backs play the next few games in a row because we do need that. At least that needs to be set. Who does he think, if we play against Australia in the final, all being well, or New Zealand, but probably Australia for me, then what team does he think has got the best chance against them? And whatever team he thinks has got that best chance, I think they need to play.
I'll tell you now, the best team he's got, Jimmy, is the quarter. Let me tell you, the best team Sean thinks is the team that faced Samoa.
Yeah.
Bar probably John. That's what he thinks. I think he'd have gone with.
Yeah.
And that's his call. Whether I think that we're right or wrong, that's his team. I think he's got his France. He thought that I think he's missed the French, and he's thought this is not a gimme because we've got another gimme next. Yeah. But probably thought I can get these lads a bit of this. And Joe's right. You need to do that in a competition. Take a bit back. Yeah. At quarter final stage, it'll be more like the Samoa game. Your team you pick because that's what he'll do. He'll go back to that. There might be one or two who'll put a marker down, but I think he's going to go Wellesby and George.
Yeah.
Sam Tompkins' body, whether it can add up. I don't know if you noticed, Sam came off and on and off and on. Sam won't play 5 games at that level. Absolutely, it's impossible for Sam to play at a high standard. And there's a difference between playing and playing at an high standard.
So you're probably going to see Sam miss out against Greece.
No, the last 3 games are going to be. So somebody today when I was coming to games talking to me, and he said, telling me about Aussies. And I said, mate, we haven't started. Aussies aren't even in 3rd gear. They have something called origin speed. They've got 5 gears to go up. Yeah, we've got to go up 5 gears. New Zealand and Tonga will all go up. What you're watching now, they're just batting. They're just, here we go. Suddenly you get ready because it's going to go. And the players, what Sean needs to find out is who are my players can play origin football. Yeah. And it'll probably be, historically in our country, it's a lot of them St. Helens lads who can go and play at that level and not come off it. We don't know whether some of these players, if it's that type of event, we just said Ireland, then Ireland will learn loads from this World Cup, because if that one game's cost Ireland a quarter-final play, and it has, unless a miracle happens, it's cost them one game.
Well, no offence to Ireland, but they're not going to beat New Zealand at Headingley on Friday.
So let's think about it. So that one game could have cost them it.
It has.
They've got to go back and reflect on that and say, like Joe said earlier on, did we do the team talk too aggressive? Did we get this wrong? Did we get that wrong? Did we get this wrong? And they have. I tell you now, George King and them, if we talk to them, and they'll be like, we played that well first game. Should we have played Jamaica at first because we got? I saw Ireland players at the end of the game, and they were hey, the
We've
myth's
got a
right,
chance here,
I only
yeah.
got a chance to get into it. And they're there, all of a sudden, they go into that game and they try and overly aggressively get it, and it becomes reckless football. But that, if you think about it then, have the team talk gone in, Mick, and said, if we win this game, it's the first time in Irish history we're going to get a rugby league team in quarterfinals. Is that pressure alone on you? Because some coaches don't like that pressure. They say, go play your normal game. Go and enjoy yourself. Go play in this. That's our team. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Was that the pressure, knowing that that game was every... Did you watch the celebrations after game of the Lebanese? It was absolutely ecstatic. I'm on about Super League NRL players as though they'd won. It was unbelievable.
While we're on this, rather than do a separate segment, my player from this weekend is Mitchell Moses, the Parramatta half who played for Lebanon. Honestly, I could give it to a number of players who've impressed me this week, but what I saw from Mitchell Moses, I think he had 4 assists out of the 5 tries. I think he kicked 6 from 7. The game management, the kicking, it was everything what probably Joe Keys and Luke Carey should have been.
If you watch Joe Me previews, he was my man to mention.
I know he was, Joe, but what I'm saying is, I'm looking, and you can pick any of them Australians.
You can't go against the Fox. The Fox entertain people all over the world.
You can go.
Come on. He got more coverage for rugby league than any human being has done for 20 years.
That try was just obscene.
Mitchell Moses for me. Mitchell Moses.
He's done more for rugby league in that one game than we've had a team do.
What about the Jamaica try? That clip's gone viral. It's had millions of views.
That's our own one. We're going to give a preview on the King Bish and what it means to us.
I'm just saying. My player of the week, and I'm going to pass it down the line. But while we're talking about the World Cup, my player of the week is Mitchell Moses, Joe. And I've just explained why. Everything what Lebanon did against Ireland yesterday went through Mitchell Moses.
Have you got the sound controls right for this show? I feel like we're going
Well,
higher than
Craig and Joe
before.
having their own personal arguments. Craig and Joe have turned on me. Thank you, Jimmy, for siding with me. We're off to the Viaduct tonight, me and Jim Bob. Joe, player of the week and why? Because we like doing this, and
I think,
opinions.
Yeah, I agree. I think player. I mentioned to my friends the NRL prediction at the start of the season. I'm going to show off it. I said Parramatta because Mitchell Moses playing best rugby of his life, and he's brought it into the World Cup.
Great talent.
But since you've said him, I'm going to go our man, Ben Jones-Bishop. I thought the full game he were unbelievable. I tweeted halfway through the game, on the show,
It was a fantastic Jamaican performance.
saying Ben Jones-Bishop. I thought throughout the whole game he looked like he looked their standard.
Yes.
He was the only player on the pitch that looked their standard, and then he deserved that try. He deserves the millions of views. He deserves the tweets. He deserves everything because what he's done for Jamaica. Getting emotional even, mate. What he's done for Jamaica there is unbelievable. Well done, Ben Jones-Bishop.
Jimmy, player of the week.
Do I have to change or can I...
Can we get the Jamaican top in a minute? Anyway, we've got the Jamaican top. We should be wearing that one for Mitch. That Sam will get it for us in a minute. It's there. Go on.
Is it?
I'm not going to change. I'm just going to...
No, you can say...
reiterate with Joe, I think. I do think, though, there was someone else on that field...
I don't think there is a Jamaica top.
No, there is. Bish dropped it off me.
I think it's in the cupboard.
It's in the cupboard. Sorry, go on, carry on, Jim.
I thought in that first...
Bottom right, Sam. Bottom right.
That first...
Very right.
The first game, I thought Ashton Golding was Jamaica's standout man by a mile. We talked about that last week. But I actually thought that in that Jamaican game, Joel Farrell was superb. I thought he was the one who, in that first half, was the one who looked like... Bish got stood up a few times. He couldn't do anything about it because that winger was running at full pace, But I thought Joel Farrell deserved a mention because he was superb. But Bish is by far my man of the week. I thought he was always like you're getting at, I think, Joe. He was always sniffing throughout the game. At any chance with his sixth sense for where there might be a try, he was around there trying to get it. Trying to get in there, and then he got his reward at the end. And I said to him before the game, statistically, in his whole career, that was the hardest game it was ever going to be for him to score a try. He's never been involved in a game where they got a 72-point start on the handicap. You know, so it's the hardest game.
Play at London in the day.
Yeah, but never anything like that.
Yeah.
So I said to him, like, this is going to be, in theory, the hardest chance for you to ever score on your 300th appearance, whereas any other game, if it was Sheffield during the season, or if it had been COVID, you'd be backing him. But if anyone can do it, you can. So the scenes when he got it, it was just a perfect fairy tale ending.
So you're going with Joe, it's Bish?
100% Bish, yeah.
Well, we did a quick one on Bish. He's unbelievable. It was his 300th game, and his missus asked me to do a message for him, and he said it meant a lot to him. So I put something like, but she only gives 10 seconds, which I thought, well, I didn't know what to do. So how do you say things quick enough in 10 seconds? So it was like, no words needed. It's the Bish. He's always been my hero. And she texted back and said he was very emotional when he got his thing, and the tape come out was very emotional. People who were special write their own scripts. He was always going to score. He was always going to do something. Here's a little one for you, and it's like a bit of inside of the deal. I got asked off Roosters about a winger last year, and they said we want somebody who could be a third winger who could do a job if they got injuries. So I didn't think of anybody else, just put Bish. But it's easy. Now I said, if you're looking at face value, you're going to say he's York, Sheffield, so you're not going to go for him. I know you're not. But if you actually do some studying of where he is as a bloke and how he is as an athlete, you'll take him tomorrow. Because he'll do a year for you. This was about a year and a half ago. He'll do a year for you, it'll be fantastic. I said, and he can still play at that level. I said, look at his last 8 games, or 2 seasons, at Wakey. His average meterage were ridiculous. He got so many passes a game, he converted the tries. His stats are ridiculous. He chose to walk away from Super League. The only player in history who's ever said, not for me, I've got a job at York and I want to crack on me property companies, what I'm trying to get. He's now gone to work as a letting agent to learn the job. He's got 10, 12 houses. We'll all be working for Bish in about 5 years. I like to think I started him on the road. And the Bish cake, and we'll all be working for Bish, is that type of kid. Fantastic moment. And it redeemed us a bit, didn't it, that Jamaica got that. Yeah. One thing in that World Cup's going to be there. I was worried now. And do you know what Bish said? Jimmy's mentioned it. Bish did say to me, we'll be better this week because we've got Farrell. He must have a massive rap on him. And he said, I'm telling you, we'll have a bit of a better dig because he's really aggressive. Yeah. He's back. Yeah. So he was thinking. But
and he kept his discipline clean, because that's his
one of the heroes have shown me, without a doubt, the Bish. Yeah, and I still say, if you're a Super League club, people, when you're studying the player, and we do it, I like to think we talked about it a lot. Don't just go on what you see face value. Go and do some digging. But I'm not going to go for Bish. I'm sorry, Bish. You're going to tell me all. We've been together 15 years. We've been through everything, kid. But I don't want to get the Spinoza wrong.
I'll help you.
It's gone Adokar.
Adokar.
Spell A-D.
Josh
Adokar. A-D-D-O-K-A-R.
Adokar, for me, did more for the Rugby League World Cup. When he changed gear, not on the one he scored at end, Sam can roll that, Sam, if you can. Just for us, roll that last try, Sam, on our YouTube, because we'll get thousands of hits on it and we can claim we did. But I would say the second one, when he opens gear, we're on about athletes. People say athletes in the world make under our conditions. He's pissing it down. Yeah. He's got wet conditions, the ball's slippy, and he's changed gear like he was. If that were an Olympic sprinter,
perfect summer track.
And then, do you know what I love about him?
The timing of getting onto the ball as well.
Well,
how he timed.
What a lovely thing when he come and got it, and he went to be in a bit because he left that space outside. And lesson for every winger: when you do come in on an early shift, go in a bit and leave your sending. If you've got that pace, he's gonna come and mark you. You've got a yard, it's all over. Because guess why? You've got 6 meters outside of him, and that's where he got him. But this is what I love about him. We've been looking for characters all our life in Rugby League. He is the biggest character.
He's after interview.
But even when he scored and he's skidding to the thing and he come back and he's within a second, he knows how to sell himself. He's everything that we dreamt about in Rugby League. We've got a world superstar. If you're in, and we said this, Sam, and if you get a chance to watch Australia, please, any sportsman out there, don't even have to be a sports fan. Once in your life, go and watch Australia, please. Because if you miss them this time, he said after the game we're a young squad and we want to be.
Lee's not that young, is he?
Yeah, but he said we're a young squad, as in together. Want to put our own history, make our own history. If you miss these in the next 4 games and don't watch them, any fans out there, you are absolutely. You can't be a sports fan if you don't want to. I explained to the two lads. I said, if you go watch Australia, you're not just watching Australia Rugby League. You're watching one of the best sporting teams in the history of any sport. These have got absolute superstars. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at it thinking, the All Blacks have had a dip. The All Blacks have had a dip. Suddenly, All Blacks look vulnerable. This kangaroo franchise, I can't. Listen, the 1-3 for the final. That tells you that.
Before we move past Addo-Carr, fun thing about him earlier on in the season, obviously Australian fans and all them will know this, but earlier on in the season he were getting actually quite highly doubted. He changed teams to go into this season, and he had
Canterbury.
Went to Canterbury, had a really slow start. So they were saying, was the Fox just the Fox because he was on one of the best teams in the country year on year, scoring all these? Is he the Fox? Well, by the end of the season, there were no questions. The Fox is the real deal.
And he's not that tall, lads, is he? When we watched him live, is he 5'10"?
Small wingers around the world have got inspired. They're now messaging.
Is that what he is, 5'10"?
That try did go viral, by the way.
No,
Sam, can you find out his height?
Not that tall.
He must be. He's still.
I saw him. I'm close to him, and he walked past, and I was like, "Wow."
I think that's his issue, that he's not that tall.
Yeah,
I think
he's not 6'3". Yeah. He must be 6 foot though, sure.
1.83 metres, whatever that is.
That might be 5'11", Matt.
See how good.
Can I give a special mention before I finish for the Twins?
Yeah, of course you can.
We've got 3 tries and 4 tries. Is it 3 and 3? I don't think Innes scored this week. I think
Innes got 1 last week and Louis got 2. So I think Louis got 2. So I think it's 4 and 1.
And when we said the top scorers, I went for Brandon Smith. Am I out now?
Yes. What, for the overall top try scorer? Oh, you're not out because
my player at tournament and goal scorer, I went for one same player.
He got another 2 at the weekend.
Did we get 2? So we're on 4.
Addo-Carr's flying.
What's he on?
You have to do well.
Could you Google it, Sam?
He's on 6.
I think he's on 6.
I'm not bad then. I'm 4. My tip's doing all right.
And Dom Young's doing well as well.
Yeah.
How many's Dom got?
4.
So I'm not saying it's Dom Young.
Yeah. And the New Zealand winger, the DW.
Wow, over that.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about the steps. I thought his footwork, the in-out-in, I thought that was sublime.
How fast?
He's 6'4" as well.
Yeah, he could have
gone
Dom, like you said, outside again.
The Dom Young one, but the interception.
Yeah.
You know, you tell us you're a winger. You don't want too many interceptions. It means that you're pushing up in defence. So a lot of coaches don't like it when they say he's a good interceptor. They go, "Oh my God, that means he's not waiting
for it."
The best ones have never been great defenders. But I tell you what, he were in air, wasn't he? He were high in air, drop, bangs, showed the. Who is the fastest? Now here's one for you. Somebody did Addo-Carr this year. Somebody did him on a sprint. They caught him, and he's from another club, Abbey Parramatta. When they caught him, who's the fastest player at the World Cup? Is it the Kiwi lad?
Well, I don't know. I thought
is it Dom Young or is it Addo-Carr or is it? Who's that?
That's for New Zealand.
That's the New Zealand one.
Who's been
I think there's somebody faster. Who's the one who played on Thursday at fullback and they said in 10.5 at school, at college?
For New Zealand?
10.5 metres. No, the what?
Joe Manu? You don't mean Joe Manu?
Forget about it. It's not New Zealand. He plays for either Tonga, one of the Pacific Islands, and he's a young lad, and they said he's at school he did a 10.58.
Oh, he's a national sprinter, isn't he? Yeah.
National sprinter, oh my God.
Yeah, he's rapid, isn't he? He's the fastest.
They got him in twice, and I went, what is that?
I'm sure they've got the top speeds from the weekend, because we've had Dom Young in full flight, we've had Addo-Carr in full flight, we've had DWZ.
It's a message to the World Cup.
We've had Ben Jones.
It's him, and they said he could have been a professional sprinter. He could have been. His time could have been at like the Olympics.
But there is an element of.
I bet there's nothing
running with the ball is a totally different speed to running without the ball. So you know, even though he might be the fastest in a straight line on a track, there are players who are quicker with the ball than others. Well,
they showed some videos of him, and it looked sublime. It looked fastest I've ever seen.
But just on Dom Young, I know you're giving a lot of praise to Zalesniak and Addo-Carr. You know, how good is it for England and Dom Young that he is now
the emerging
ahead
superstar
of Makinson and Hall and Sean Wayne's.
Thank God
Sean Wayne's call is it Makinson, is it Hall kind of thing, you know. It's amazing.
Do you know
and the news from Australia is New Zealand, because they say Dom Young can't tackle, He's not been offered a new contract. They've said no, sorry. So
I knew that. That's why I said
he's on. He's available. I don't think he's going to come over.
Did I have a joke about the Leeds Rhinos?
Gary was in with him.
Gary and Rob Oakes had the arm round him.
When you've got Melbourne and South Sydney looking at Dom Young, you take notice. New Zealand clearly don't think he's for them. They're saying his defensive frailties.
Newcastle, you mean?
Newcastle. Yeah, I meant Newcastle
he's
Knights.
in New Zealand, yeah.
Sorry,
do you know that Dom Young try in full flight? As soon as he caught the ball, what I was watching on TV, I was like, brilliant, because you know he's not getting caught. And you watch him run. But I saw one of his mates who was in the stands put up a video. They must have started recording just after we caught it. And it gives a real idea of how fast he's shifting. Sometimes TV doesn't do it justice, does it?
Yeah, it's like F1 cars.
I think you know, Huddersfield, I don't know if I'm quoting this, and I'm sure we can, but I'm sure one of the twins in full flight is 10 plus on the GPS. Might be both of them, but one of them at Huddersfield wasn't the fast, but in full flight, one of the twins were faster than anybody. But you don't see him in full flight much, do you? That's the problem. You're not seeing them get that.
And the top speeds we get, I don't know if that fullback you're on about has had a chance to get to top speed yet, but I was saying,
got to eat one ball.
The exciting thing is the others have all been at top speed now. We know that.
Be interesting that one, mate.
I thought that was really interesting in the England game. That the prop Luke Thompson.
Oh yeah.
When he was at Saints, he was
electric,
he was quicker than either Makinson or Grace over 40, and I assume it's probably Makinson.
Yeah, second fastest player in the club. So
it was the same. Do you know what's interesting? You know,
over 40.
And I'll put this to you lot here. One thing you get usually in a World Cup, we're now into the third round of games. Yeah. Usually halfbacks are dominating everything we talk about. I don't know if you've noticed. There's a shift.
Yeah.
No one talks about halfbacks like they did. We used to watch World Cups and everybody like, oh, what about John's lock here? Kim Hawley. Oh, what about, maybe Scully playing half? What about this one? I don't hear anybody. The last one, mate, I were there at Wembley when
Sean Johnson,
Brock our heart, step Kev Sinfield, bang, bang, bang. Benji Marshalls. You're not seeing dominant halves. Is that me? Or because we're talking? Are we talking more about wingers?
Yeah.
And
middles.
Yeah,
I think it's for style of play, isn't it? Yeah.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Is that the way that is it because the game's that fast and athletic now? You don't need the old-fashioned.
I don't think there is as many dominant halves in the game. We mentioned Mitch Moses, the Cleary for Australia were unbelievable. I think that's you got your mate. He were unbelievable. Cleary.
Yeah, but you're not mentioning.
Well, I think they were mentioning Cleary.
No, we just mentioned our players at weekend.
Yeah.
2 weeks on
But
track.
is it not because
Mitch Moses number one?
Moses, you're right.
And I would have gone Mitch Moses if Mick didn't go Mitch Moses.
Oh,
is it not as well that the forwards are getting better at playing? There's more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's more
I agree with you.
Robbie Paul is punditry.
Don't mention it.
Whatever.
On that.
But what we're saying is.
Saying that nicely.
That's what I mean. I thought you made a great point about the Kiwis. He said he thought the most positive thing was the way they were playing the ball amongst the forwards. Victor Radley for England. I think there's more ball play going on in the middle now. So the halfbacks have, a lot of them. Their job is to kick.
Am I allowed to say the rugby? I forgot who's the commentator's name?
Bossy, the brilliant.
No, the one.
Don't be negative. We're not.
No, he's not. He just. I don't.
Oh, you're on about Jonathan Davis.
He's obviously a legend. This is not. He obviously just doesn't watch loads of modern rugby league over the last year or two, because all of his things is he don't know it's played by. It's all he gets shocked every time a winger runs in hard. He's like, I can't. But I think that show. I think my point is it's not a diss on him. It shows how much the game's changed over the last 2 years, because he has done.
How do you think, guys? How do you think it's been sold by the commentators?
Just interrupted them.
Sorry.
You did that nice, and there's a lot of comments that say the same, just to back you up.
Where he obviously, but it's not a diss on him. He's done loads of good commentaries, but it's changed that much in the last 2 years that it's dominated by fast, hard-running, straight wingers, and you can see him. He as he's talking, he's slowly wrapping his head around this modern game of rugby league, and I think it's actually, even though some people see it as a negative, and it might be in some aspect, but it's also quite a positive, because you're watching this rugby legend going, wow, the game's completely changed, and he's wrapping his head around it, saying, "Oh, look at this, look at that," and he's showing to the fans what you should be looking at, because he is noticing that himself. It's a bit of a different twist on it.
It's an interesting one, you know, Mick. You said it there. Do you think it's been sold well by the commentators? Do you think we've done you just said BBC, have we done it some justice?
I think Vossi is unbelievable. I think for me, he's the main highlight of the World Cup so far.
He was in 2013.
Was he?
Yes,
Right.
yeah, when he come over, yeah.
What
about the punditry? I mean, what about James Graham? Has he brought a different vibe?
Yeah, Graham's been great.
Yeah.
I like that.
The two they comment on is Graham and Vossi, aren't they? They said them two.
I listen to a lot of Australian rugby league commentaries, and James Graham's on Triple M with Dan Ganane, and James Graham, thumbs up. 100%.
Especially with that like slightly Scouse stroke Aussie accent, just adding a bit of different sound to it.
Moving on to this weekend's games, Tonga Wales tonight. That is going to be a tough one for John Keir and Wales, but they played really well against Cook Islands.
They did.
Casey Badger, the wife of former NRL referee Gavin Badger, she's going to become the first female rugby league referee to officiate a men's game. So big round of applause to Casey Badger. Tomorrow you've got Papua New Guinea versus the Cook Islands.
Wales have got a 48-point start just for a little.
Yeah, look, listen, I spoke when I was at the World Cup launch in Manchester the other Monday. I spoke with Nathan Graham and John Keir, and they're under no illusions that Scotland Wales it's going to be a bit of a hiding. They're under no illusions.
Well, you know, you've just said about England swapping, so you know, it's quite funny with JK because I haven't seen tonight's squad, but I'm pushing for Lewis Robertson. Now I've got a feeling he's not in because JK will. I said to Lewis on the text. I hope they don't mean man. I said, Lewis, are you playing the first game? He said, no, they've gone for experience. I couldn't stop laughing, thinking that's what John's known for, innit? And then I'm thinking today.
And they very nearly got a result against the Cook Islands.
No, yeah. Brilliant. But I'm saying it, they've gone for experience, and then I'm thinking tonight, will JK change anything, or will he just put the same stalwarts out, go for experience, and go for that, or will he say, you know what, let's give all the kids? I think John's more this one, Mick. He's more Jimmy and you. Play the best team he can twice, and then he'll give all young'uns a game if they're out. And I think that's what he's going to do. I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want to see Lewis. He's played all the qualifying games. He's 21-year-old, leads. I wanted to see him, but I've got a feeling JK's going to do it, what you're saying. Bang, bang, and if they get beat, right, guys, none of yous are playing, and all lads get a game on this game.
Yeah. So, Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands tomorrow, so we've got this sort of Pacific Island, Pacific nation kind of flair. Then we've got the big one at Headingley on Friday night, Ireland against New Zealand. Ireland need to win at all costs to keep alive their World Cup. Something tells me that could be a bit of an uncomfortable evening for Ireland. Saturday, you've got Fiji, Scotland, Australia against Italy, England against Greece.
But my God, so Fiji, who would Fiji play if they win? What?
Us. They'll be playing us. They'll be playing us at Wigan.
In quarters.
In the quarter final.
I didn't know.
I think we're matched up quite good against them, though. I think the match-ups because their best players are our best players as well. So I think that's.
No, they won't.
Are you saying now, Craig, we could go out?
No. What I saw on Saturday, I didn't recognise at least 9 of the back line. I didn't recognise the back line, and I was watching. Obviously, let me tell you, the Penrith second rower. They're all hitting him. Everything you do, bang, he gets it. The hooker at Penrith, he's everywhere, and they've got this shift play. They had two wingers who was 18 stone apiece, and colossus at kick return. They had a prop Mick who played, and I'd like to know who we were actually. I think he played 10 or 16. I've never seen a carry from back line like it. As it was hitting the Italian players, there was just one flat fished every time.
Are you saying that's not a foregone conclusion then, Fiji, England, if they're at Wigan?
I think Fiji were a lot better than I thought. I got a right shock.
Right. Well, just quickly on the England-Greece game, I think I've said my piece on what Sean Way needs to do. I think there needs to be more continuity, cohesion, certainly a lot more effort from England. Raise the intensity. Sunday, you've got Lebanon, Jamaica at Lee, Tonga, Cook Islands at Middlesbrough.
Well, let's go through
Samoa versus France at Warrington.
Are we going to preview each one, or are we going to?
Whoever's got Dom Young for top try scorer, wants to play against Greece this week.
Well, that's the thing, Craig.
Well, that is,
I said to Jimmy last week.
Second favourite.
What was he last week, Dom Young? He was 8-1, wasn't he? You could
He's
still
8
get
to
him
1.
at
I
8.
think he's still sevens because Ado
Well, Jimmy, you can do a quick 10 minutes on the old...
I'll get it up, yeah. But
Like-
Ado Carr's still hot favourite because they've got Italy to play as well. But will he play? Will the Aussies mix it up again? You know, that's their prerogative.
Friday in York at 5 o'clock, it's the women's launch, so I've got to go to York on Friday at 5 o'clock for the women's launch. Obviously, they start next
You
week.
commentating?
No, I'm not commentating. I'm just off to the launch and get some interviews and get some content. And then obviously the World Cup group stages comes to an end a week next Monday, which we can talk about. Obviously, because it'll be Papua New Guinea versus Wales in Doncaster again.
Wow.
So this weekend, probably, Craig, it's not really going to settle much because if you look at the actual tables, you've got England, Australia, New Zealand and Tonga, who were all the favourites to start with anyway, all at the top.
That's not true, Mick. Remember, Samoa were slight favourites to win our group, so we have actually done the business and avoided Tonga in the quarters.
Yeah, I must admit,
There wasn't
that first
much in it,
game,
though.
there wasn't much in it. You know, no offence.
All the rest were foregone
I mean, look.
conclusions.
No offence to France, but the way I saw Tonga bounce back on Sunday yesterday, I've got Samoa to be beating France by 10-20 on Sunday night. So
I agree, yeah.
Samoa will finish second.
If not more.
Great thing for
The-
France, though, Mick. A
the
little
big-
point here. Great thing for France.
The gap's closing.
The gap
No,
is closing.
But the Catalans-Toulouse combination's working because
Yes.
I thought it were fantastic. Somebody said, there's 11 Catalans playing to play France. That's the point. That's the point. They wanted their own team players not playing in Super League for other people. They wanted them playing for Catalans with Toulouse and playing for the national team. They didn't want them dotted about everywhere in chant. They wanted that. That's
That's the cohesiveness to a T, isn't it? I've never heard the word used more than this last few days on the TV.
that's what they were all about.
The big debate is who's going to finish second in Group D. I think you've got Tonga, Cook Island, Papua New Guinea and Wales. So obviously Tonga are favourites to be first. But
Yeah, Papua New Guinea.
confident?
I think Cook Islands have got a 16-point start on PNG, and is that tonight, Joe, or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Well, that's tomorrow because if Papua New Guinea
Wales
lose to
playing
Cook Islands, it's over.
Yeah, Cook
Because Cook Islands had the win against Wales, so tomorrow night's game at Warrington decides it.
Papua New Guinea be better than.
Yes,
Yeah,
you'd say
the-
so.
the
Yes, on
minus
paper,
16,
from what
yeah.
we saw in their heroic defeat against Tonga.
But I suppose the point is that is the last game of the group stages where really there's a chance of an upset on paper.
Do you know what the thing is when we're watching Fiji close? One of them lads said, and Mick, I don't know how many of us in Papua New Guinea and the Pacific Islands play, but they both were like, why are they bigger than everybody else? And I said, well, I think there's some. If you describe rugby league in some places, they're born to play rugby league, aren't they? Mm-hmm. They're born to play rugby league. Like if you look at
It's their national sport.
but even the physiques.
I mean, this.
We couldn't get any. How do you get a 6'7" winger?
I mean, I've got a book on my whole thing. There's a lot of genetics that goes into it and all
Yeah,
that. So
that's what I'm saying.
The big blokes.
But they were like, why are they so big? And I'm like, because you looked at it. Have you ever watched Italy play?
Yes.
Where are the Italian rugby league players from?
Mainly Australian.
And where did they play the sport? Queensland Cup.
Yeah. Or the one below that.
There's a couple.
New South
there's a
Wales
couple,
Cup, isn't there?
There's a couple domestic players, but you know, I think Greece deserve a lot of credit.
So we've got no rugby league team in Italy.
Yeah, there's an Italian league. Yeah, like there's a Spanish league, a Greece league. It's nowhere near at the standard. You know, no offence to those leagues. Probably you get a bit higher standard watching Sigel and Stanley.
Because somebody described this to me, and you try and answer me this, lads. I mentioned Jamaica, and we mentioned how they would have a franchise. And it was Lewis Johnson's dad, Errol, and he said to me, but remember, Craig, these are third generation, so our families come from Jamaica to England in whatever year.
In the 50s, yeah.
But all
after the
these
war.
going forward are all going to be born in England. So where does that reproduction come from?
Brilliant, yeah.
And I thought it's a great point what he made, and I thought, right, so he said they'll have to change the rules. So what I said I'd do is you'd literally try and change the rules to say once you've been playing there and you've got a granddad who come from Jamaica, you know, whatever, you should be allowed to do your next generation. It shouldn't just be up to your grandparents, because otherwise you can't grow that as much.
I know.
Otherwise it'll come to a stop.
Yeah.
Like it might in Italy, like it like, you know.
Well, like it is doing now, with generation. Grandparents is as far back as you can go. So what I think he's saying is, this is now great grandchildren.
Well, is there no Jamaican immigration to the UK anymore?
Well, I don't know, but I think he said that a lot of them,
most of them landed.
come through. He said it was our families coming over, and that's what we did. And maybe the times are different. I don't know. You're right. I don't know whether that. But I think if it's like that, there's got to be a way the rugby league to grow it can say that's all right.
The only problem with that is then you start getting more Aussies playing for England, because there's a great grandpa.
So say Bishop's kids, one of them wants to play for Jamaica. His immediate grandparent wouldn't be from Jamaica. Do you get me?
But you can't have one rule for one and not the others.
You can. Because you've got to grow that.
Not in international sport. Do you mean domestic?
No.
You're on about international.
No, I'm on about international sport. I think they've got to look at things to help develop that.
No, because for every Jamaica, there'll be another country that has loads of immigration that they start playing the sport.
It's basically England playing.
I know that's sad.
That's
That's the sad truth, isn't it? That's why Greece have a team now, because a lot of them have gone to Australia and played.
Well, I tend to do you know a lot of people, the idea about having a development for comp in this, when we put Spain, Wales. Yeah, I'd mentioned that to a lot of non-rugby league doormat who were like...
Yeah, the emerging nations.
Yeah, but let them have one chance at quarter-finals. I mentioned this to Shane at Oxham last night. He thought it was a fantastic idea. He said, what, they get one crack at quarter-finals? Yeah, but then other people said it's not fair on the competition.
Not fair, yeah.
But a lot of people who are not ingrained in it, it'd be a lot more positive about seeing that as a developing the game, other than saying, no, that's the way it's not, it's ridiculous.
But at the moment, this is the most competitive World Cup I think we've had in memory, because we have now got...
Not if Australia want to win it again.
No, but I'm not on about Aussie still being odds-on favourites, but you're talking about the fact Samoa and Tonga are so much stronger, arguably.
England
and Papua New Guinea. I think
but the issue is, for every them...
Have Wales and Scotland gone backwards?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For every one of them that have come up, Scotland, Ireland in the Four Nations just lost to England and drew with New Zealand 4 or 5 years ago. Now they've gone back, so you've got no offence, Scotland getting worse, Ireland getting worse. So it's got worse here, it's just got better over there.
France got better.
Yes, we saw that.
I disagree with you.
No,
I think France were always in the big
gap.
four team. France were always a big four team in the
No,
tournament.
I know, Joe, but what I'm saying is, what I'm seeing from France is, while standards have improved, like you say, with Tonga, PNG, Samoa, Australia getting better despite the lack of international rugby league, I still think the gap's closing between England and France. So to me, France are getting better.
So we just need to do more, hopefully.
And that's what IMG want. IMG want to build on England versus France, because logistically and realistically, getting rid of Magic Week and Summer Bash, you've only got Test series against England and France. That is going to be meaningful.
Just let me finish my point. All I was saying was, because now we've got these, I think overall it's getting stronger and country gets stronger. If you were to then say one of the quarter-final spots is reserved for an emerging nations, which ultimately will lead with an 84 points to 2 victory, I'm not sure really that's fair. It's not for me. I'm looking forward to this World Cup, because I think the quarter-finals are going to be the best quarter-finals I can remember. And I think that's where it's really going to come alive, and that's where the standard we're going to see really rise. And I wouldn't want to lose that straight away when we finally get in. It used to be semis, it used to be, when the semis start, we're on.
It's
but
always
now
the same.
we move back to the quarters, and we're even getting some group games. We're getting teams now. It used to be nailed on who the top two would be. Now we've got a couple of groups. I know Lebanon have done the job on Ireland, but where we're actually talking, we're not even sure who's going to get second spot. And I think that's a really good thing.
But that'll only happen because of development and changing the rules to suit the development of teams.
And I'm all for helping countries, but
what they did with Tonga 5 or 6 years ago has enabled Tonga to be like this. And what they did with Tonga, Jimmy, if you know the story, is they actually said to the Australian internationals, start playing for Tonga. They pushed it. It was
there's the second nation.
Morgan Knowles should have played for Wales. He has played for Wales. He did all this thing and say, Dom Young could have played for Jamaica. Mickey McCormick could have played for Ireland. Yeah. What they did with Tonga to make them better, they said, guys, you've got to stop playing for Australia in a way. We need to play for, and to make the overall game better. Do you fancy coming? And suddenly,
I think that's great.
they got Fafita, and all of a sudden they all did it, and one went, and then 4 years ago.
And that's happened this year with Samoa and Tonga. I think that's brilliant because I think that's the country's international body saying, look, you don't have to go and play for them. This is what we're trying to build. That's
Exactly.
great, but I don't think you can give an emerging nation a quarter-final spot to get destroyed 8
But they're still going to win their group.
Yeah. But how does an emerging nation win a group? They can't win a group because
They have Wales, Scotland.
Oh, have one group with just emerging nations in. But then
Just for the benefit of the game.
right. I don't see how it benefits a team getting destroyed in a quarter-final.
Because it gives them hope.
You're not going to do it.
Because if I'm going to choose not to play for Scotland, then I think I might have a chance of
I like
qualifying.
the idea, Craig.
I'd play for Scotland. I'd say, yeah, I don't play for you.
You're compromising integrity.
Lee Breers, this is what they said, Lee Breers will want to...
A slower progress to lead.
Yeah.
You can't gift them something, but as they get stronger and
But
stronger,
it's like saying...
it's pride in your own country.
It's using
and roots.
franchise. It's using the franchise system in a competition. That's what we're saying. It's a bit like
In
Rugby
an-
League.
in an international
We need to
competition.
Super League franchise teams in because it's going to help the game long term. Short termism won't allow us to survive in Rugby League.
Sorry for changing the subject, but you need to change Jack Walker. He's no longer at Leeds, Craig. You need to move him over to the black side and put a double B.
Well, we're going to do it. Well,
Can do that. In fact, Nick, I'll let you do that. You can interfere with my ball.
Can Sam change the camera? Can Sam change the camera and what's
will he sell a lot of tops, Mick?
Jack Walker?
One. Jack Walker one.
Yes.
You don't.
You
He's
don't
a
so.
big market.
You don't.
signing.
You
I-
don't
He's a
so.
big
No, it's
market.
because reason I've got it in his contract.
What's in his contract? Selling tops?
Yeah.
£10 a shirt.
We've got a
shirt to
pound.
shirt.
We've got a pound every time
Well,
there's...
if Nigel's agreed to that, then...
If I know Nigel,
Nigel does not agree to that. I know Nigel too well.
I'll tell you something else. At £4 a number, he won't be number 1. He'll be number 31. He'll get an extra £4 in every shirt, and it'll be Walker with a double R as well.
It'll be number 4,601.
How many digits can you fit? And he'll have to play in an extra large shirt to get an extra digit on.
But no, look, it's been the full 80 minutes on Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. We've got England against Greece on Saturday. We've no team news yet, but I suspect, as Jimmy agreed with me earlier, or loosely agreed with me, Sean Wayne's going to go for his strongest team now, building towards
Ridiculous.
against that potential.
No, for me, it's from the
Fiji
quarters.
team.
For quarters and semis, he's got to put his team out.
But yeah, look, what a
did say
revelation
earlier
Jamaica
from
have
this next
been.
game
I said I
onwards.
can understand his point.
Ben
but I'm
Jones
saying-
Bishop, for Jamaica's first try, Kieran Rush with the first conversion the week before. Let's just hope that whatever happens this weekend, people go out and support this magnificent tournament. Till next week, good night, God bless, enjoy yourselves.